Movies suck. We can agree about that.
I did watch Long Legs, though, which
Long Legs is a great movie. Great movie. Nicolas Cage.
It's your Cage fix.
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't really know it, though, if you went in blind. So that's kind of fun because he's so heavily make-upped. But you can definitely tell if you're a fan.
You can tell it's him, but you're right. He is very heavily make-upped. That was such a good movie.
It was weird, for sure.
It was.
Anything with Cage, it's going to be weird anyways.
This movie was designed for him to chew the scenery.
Yeah.
Like, this is like, so who do you want to play this character? And you go, Cage. And then somebody went, he might be expensive for this being... I don't know that this is a horror film. I think
this is a thriller for sure. Yeah. Because at any point... Well, I mean, there are, like, jump scares, I guess, if you look in the background. But, like, they're not meant to be...
But this one, I like thrillers. I don't like horror films. I like thrillers.
Although I'd argue it's a little more gruesome for a thriller, because sometimes thrillers are generally...
It does. Yeah, this is true.
Yeah.
Without the excitement of our Nicolas Cage fantasies and what have you, it just seems like the cold open is just more and more cold these days.
If only Nicolas Cage made more movies. Because he makes like 1 million movies.
I know. I picked up on it. And it was in that moment that we realized that the hosts may actually secretly hate each other. They just come together amicably for the purposes of the Lighthouse IT Solutions podcast.
Oh.
Those hosts, Matt Almadeir and Griffin. Do I ever use your full name?
Yeah, every time. I thought it was just weird just then. Because I was like, oh, you didn't say the whole thing, but I don't care.
No, we're going to go with it. You're like Prince now. Griffin.
Oh, the one name thing, yeah. Cool.
Hey, you want to talk about security flaws? Because that's also as interesting as what Prince's real name is.
Yeah.
And the conundrum that is the artist formerly known as Prince still being currently named Prince. And then he was just that weird logo thing.
Oh, yeah.
I get the impression it was hard to buy tickets because you couldn't type that character into your Googles.
To the Googles, man.
Hey, do you have Windows, Griff? You like run Windows? Not like do you have Windows like on your house or car and stuff? I'm sure you do. Like that's how you see things.
I have a lot of Windows. In both senses, actually.
Do you have like the Microsoft-y kind?
I do have the Microsoft.
Okay. Here's the deal. Go ahead and make sure that you click on Windows Update because the February update package, included about 55 vulnerabilities that were patched.
Wow. Windows 11.
Yeah, quite a bit in there. 4 of those were 0 days. 2 of them were actually actively exploited in the wild.
Wow. Okay.
So it's the February roll-up. I guess more than anything, I wanted to bring up the fact that, hey, there are 0 days that were in there, and there are 2 of them were actively exploited. But it was a pretty hefty update. So here we are. I know we're nearing the tail end of March, but when I catch wind of a 0 day, you got to do something about that. So update your Winders,
Looks like I did not have it, so.
Oh my goodness. What's wrong with you?
Yeah. It's going, though. Downloading 0%. Happening.
And then by the end of it, you will have no battery, and it'll be at 6%. Another big thing that came out this week, or I guess it was a week or 2 ago. You ever heard of VMware?
Oh, yeah. Virtual machineWare.
I don't actually think that's their real name, but it is a VM software. It's a hypervisor, right? They have a pretty substantial little security flaw out there. Well, a couple of them. Not only that, but it's a great way to take over the machine, do code injection, steal information from them, all kinds of really good stuff that you don't want on your hypervisor. You're being advised to update right away. So if you're running the VMwares, make sure that you patch on that one too, because that is out there and exploited in the wild. Of course, many of you probably just don't care because you're all moving away from VMware because Broadcom is a greedy so-and-so.
Yeah, we talked about that pretty recently.
Oh my gosh, the whole thing. It's just exploding. But it's the same thing that like Intel and stuff they did. Broadcom really does not care. They want to sell to enterprises. They want to bleed them as close to dry as they can. And they really don't want to sell to the small guys. They would rather make more money off of less customers.
Seems like that's a thing in a lot of different industries right now.
Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the tooth?
Jeez.
We can talk about AI, but we're in my section, so it's security news. What are we going to do?
Talk about AI anyway.
What do we talk about AI cybersecurity?
What?
What if the new trendy ransomware group that came out is actually generative AI based?
Oh no, it's happening.
What?
Skynet is here.
Skynet is here. You ever go to Paris and visit the Sorbonne University?
I've been to Paris, yeah.
Have you really?
Yeah, Kentucky. I've actually been to Paris, Kentucky.
You know what? Listen, that was really good.
There's also a London, Kentucky, to be pretty close to Paris, Kentucky.
London, Kentucky is where I used to stop for gas and bathroom breaks. It's pretty reliable for me to get there when I was traveling. Well, I guess back in those days I was traveling to South Carolina a lot.
Oof.
No, this one is the proper Paris over there in France. So the Sorbonne University, been around since the Middle Ages, like 1257 or something like that. So there's this group. They're called FunkSec.
Like funky security kind of thing, I guess?
Yeah, I don't know. They've exfiltrated 20 gigabytes of data from the university, which really doesn't sound like much. That's less than my downloads folder.
I've exported a video at 20 gigs.
Yeah. So this one is kind of interesting to me. Probably why it's not like super in the news, except for that it's the Sorbonne. But the 20 gigabytes of data from the university using what is being described as the first generative AI created ransomware string. The school will have until March 22nd to pay, or the data will be sold. Supposedly, it includes some various reports and credentials. What is really interesting, though, is when you take a look at the screenshots, is one of the screenshots shows a Citrix web client. Yeah, we're pretty sure that what it is it's an unpatched version of Citrix that got into a remote desktop server.
Oh.
So whatever that remote desktop server was able to do, that's what they got access to. And that's pretty much it.
So not widespread.
Yeah, so that would explain why it's only 20 gigabytes of data. It's probably just whatever was on that box. And if it is generative AI, it would have to be something that an LLM would have ingested and learned as a vulnerability. So my guess is this is a super old Citrix vulnerability bug.
So don't be concerned necessarily, I guess, but
patch your stuff.
It's interesting though, in terms of the AI ransomware. Like that's probably the coolest. I don't know, coolest is a perspective, but that's very interesting.
It's lazy, is what it is, but also, yeah, I mean, it is kind of cool.
Yeah, wow. We'll probably see more of that kind of style of hack, though. I mean, why not automate?
Why not? It's just far more efficient.
Yeah. This is before my time, but did you use Dig?
Of course I did. I'm so excited for this. This is so stupid.
So before some of the bigger social media that you know today, there was something called Dig, D-I-G-G.
Yeah.
I get it. Reddit was around though,
but
it wasn't as popular.
No, it was first.
Yeah, but it's similar, you know, style of thing. Well, co-founder of Reddit and a co-founder of Dig
and star of oh shoot.
I'm sorry, what?
He was on G4 TV.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was one of the hosts of, I think, Screensavers.
Yeah, I didn't. You can finish that sentence.
No, the Screensavers on Tech TV /
I didn't have cable. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you. Oof.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm so excited for this. I'm here for this.
So, co-founder of Reddit and a co-founder of Dig basically acquired Dig's IP for an undisclosed sum. And they definitely plan on utilizing Dig and its old.
They're bringing it back.
They're bringing it back.
Dig's coming back, dude. You used to be able to you know how Facebook, they used to have the Facebook like button.
Yeah, you could dig it.
You know where that came from? Mm-hmm. Is Dig used to do that, and then people could be on the thing that they read, and you would dig it, and then that would curate that article on Dig, and then the more people who dug it, it would show up, and it would be. It was literally weren't they literally called the internet's the front page of the internet?
Yeah, I think they took that and then Reddit stole it or something.
Well, because one of them did close down.
Yeah, they have stated though that it won't be a Dig clone, but it also won't be a Reddit clone. But those two people who are no longer affiliated with either of them, Reddit and Dig respectively,
I got that big Dig energy right now. It's so good.
It's gonna be crazy.
Good. I love it.
So they're gonna prioritize transparency, reward human effort, and foster enriching discussions, which. Yeah, sounds good, but we'll see how they actually implement that and if it'll work. But it is going to happen. I don't know if it's this year. Don't know. but the purchase, the acquisition is the biggest news here. It's going to be kind of cool.
I'm trying to think of, because I'm kind of going nuts, but I think what you would do is if you had, because RSS used to be much more popular than it is. So what you could do is you could subscribe your blog to Dig so that it would incorporate some of the content, but you would have the Dig icon back so that you could share. And people who could go on Dig, and like how Reddit works, you could upvote it. But if you just read it through a blog, if the web designer put it in there, you could dig it.
Yeah.
And that would affect its rankings too. Obviously, easy to ruin that because you could just simulate button clicks. But that was before we really had that. I'm trying to think. I feel like there were a couple of news aggregators. And for the life of me, I cannot think of the other one.
I just remember my brother using this, and I think he showed me like Stumble Upon at the same time or something.
That's what it is. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Now, Stumble Upon was
weird, though.
Stumble Upon was really cool. You would go to Stumble Upon, and it had a bar across, basically iframe. This is before we had cross-site scripting.
Yeah.
You would go to the site, and then what it would do is in the top bar is their content. And the bottom, they would just randomly give you something.
Yeah.
And you could pick a category if you wanted, but you would just stumble upon random sites. It was a way that you could learn your new favorite site.
I have no idea if that's still a thing either.
I haven't been to that in a decade or two.
Wikipedia, Stumble Upon. Ooh, it's got a browser extension.
Well, yeah, that was
Dissolved 2018. Ooh.
7 years too late, Griff.
Yep.
You know what we should do is we should buy it and bring it back.
Oh.
We can have Dig and Stumble Upon, and my world will be complete.
So it actually didn't fully dissolve. It transitioned into Mix.com. Well, you know what I don't dig? Thank you. No. Yeah, I'll just let that ring out for a moment. Well, I don't dig in-car advertising. And this is kind of funny because I kept thinking about the BMW like seat heater subscription thing.
In order to use your heated seats, please watch this 30-second ad.
That was exactly my Well,
sorry.
Jeep had a glitch where I don't know. I'm going to call it a glitch because they called it a glitch, but who knows if it was intentional. Maybe it was like an A/B test kind of thing. So there was intrusive ads that were triggered on the infotainment center while driving even. That was, I don't have any information on what the ads were or anything, but it was just a pop-up, basically, ad that was going on. And automakers are all like, trying to figure out if this is something to pursue, because this is probably a huge industry. You have the capabilities. There's a computer in this car that can receive data. So, like, do we put ads on it? That's the corporation's thought process.
It is interesting because you can... I'll let you finish. I've got weird thoughts to this.
There's even speculation that by 2032, this will be a $1.5 billion industry. Is infotainment center advertising. So
some interesting thoughts to pose, and I'm going to ask the question and just get your thoughts on it. So these connective services vehicles, they're all the rage. And so I'm now recently afflicted with this I get it for 3 years, I don't have to pay it. And then after that, I want to say it might be $100 a year.
Yeah.
But basically it covers an internet connection to the car. And then that gives me access to be able to control my, not like drive like a Tesla, but I can get statistics and everything.
Yeah, GPS traffic like reports and stuff within the car, not on your phone.
After the 3 years is up, this is going to be a hard sell. But I guess my question is, to offset this cost...
Ooh, free ads.
If you had certain advertising, I think there is a way to do it like how TV shows do it now. With streaming, you get the, you place it with the label out kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. But I also think that you can use this as a value add. Hey, if I'm doing GPS, I can recommend that it's around 11, 12 o'clock. Hey, you want to get McDonald's?
Yeah.
But here's my other question.
The GPS auto goes to McDonald's. You have to hit cancel.
and auto adds it as a route.
Stop. Good.
And all of a sudden it's like, why is this McDonald's so busy?
Jeez. Man.
And why are they all Mazdas?
Yeah.
What if, and there's a billion different things that are bad about this, but what if in concert to billboards, you could have interactivity with billboards that existed and your infotainment system.
Yeah, yeah.
So a lot of cellular devices are already GPS. You would know if you were in range of a billboard.
Yeah.
So what if you saw a billboard, blah, 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 and you figure out a way to make it unobtrusive, but you could have interactivity or like store this for later.
Yeah. Here's 10% off coupon. Store for later.
Yep. Send it to my real phone, whatever.
Yeah.
But what if they did that? This is where my question comes in, because obviously who wants that in their car? That's just more advertising. But what if your connected services were free because they could cover the cost because of people engaging with ads?
Yeah.
One, I think it would be great because you still are enforcing the concept of the billboards.
Yeah.
You know, you would have local curated content, but you also would get click through. You would actually get real metrics based on.
This is kind of a weird comparison, but I mean, Netflix said a long time they were never going to have ads.
Yeah.
And now they have an ad plan, and it does very well because of it. And people aren't really upset.
To the point where they are making it more expensive to almost drive you to the ads.
Yeah.
Probably because the ad curated plan generates more revenue for them.
Yeah, I'm sure. So this is probably something automakers are going to do just because it's going to generate more revenue anyway.
I'm just curious what it ends up looking like. But
I like your scenario.
But I would say that there's part of me that would put up with a certain level of unobtrusive ads and
Certainly
recommendations
depends, yeah.
if I didn't have to pay for my connected services.
Mm-hmm.
And if that was enough, you got to imagine that they would be able to make $100 a year off a car.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like maybe more. And I don't have to pay for a feature of my car, like the heated seats.
Seriously.
It's not a BMW. It's just more of a joke. But it is one of those things where that's the frustration is like the car starter and being able to set the temperatures and stuff. All of that's controlled through the stupid app.
I don't want to pay for another thing. I don't care about if I see a McDonald's ad then.
Because you're bombarded with advertising anyway.
I got such good banner blinders. I'm good.
But sometimes you might go, you know what? That is kind of cool.
Yeah. It could go either way, though. We'll see.
Because I've had where I was like, oh, man, that was a really cool ad. I should figure out what that is. The problem is I'm in the car. I'm driving. It's not like I can write that down. Here's an impactful ad that by the time I get to where I'm going, which is an hour away,
I've forgotten.
about it.
If the infotainment center was like, oh, here you go. Yeah.
I'd be like, you want more information later? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be like, hey, here's some statistics on your trip, you know, and you could give me a coupon or something or a discount code. Or there you go. There's your incentive for me getting information. But now you're getting actual quantitative, but you're also getting to see how many cars displayed that ad.
Yeah, the metrics from the advertiser's perspective. That's valuable.
It's auditable. And then if you get click through, now you can see what your conversion rate is.
Yeah.
Sorry, we just made pop-up ads in real life.
Well, that's a billboard.
But without
now
the
you're
metrics.
making it smart.
It's spray and pray, you know?
Man. All right. Anyway. So we've talked about Blue Sky before. They are releasing an alternative to Instagram called Flashes. But it's set to do pretty well because it's Instagram-like. And Instagram is extremely popular still. There's a entire kind of group who would enjoy not being on Meta, basically. And I think it's kind of targeted towards those people. And it's just a quick little thing. You can upload 4 photos, do short videos, do whatever you want in terms of this portfolio mode, which is really just like showcasing, profiles and whatnot. So it's not exactly a new social media, but...
Yeah, this is always hard to hear about these like, oh, we're doing this new thing on our app. We're copying something that exists somewhere else because we don't want to hemorrhage users.
I mean,
and that's what this is. This Blue Sky got all of that attention for being a pseudo Twitter. Then people got annoyed, and then they stopped moving forward. And it's new. It's also new. So then they're like, I'm not going to keep doing this.
And Threads has been blown up too, so I think they've been having competition there. But Instagram Reels is also set to be a separate app from Instagram too. That's not been finalized.
Because they inject Reels into Facebook and stuff. I think that's smart.
It's all Reel integrated, yeah.
I think that's smart on their standpoint.
Makes sense, yeah. And then if you're going to release a new thing like they did with Reels, it makes sense that I understand why Facebook and Instagram are separate because they used to be separate. But
video content is king. So integrating those into both platforms just makes more sense.
Yeah. So that is obviously because of the TikTok thing. So they're going to separate Reels in hopes that they grab more people. But yeah, this Flashes thing could become a big app. I don't know yet. But keep your eye out.
Is it a flash of brilliance? If I could speak, that would have been a great pun. But here we are.
Here we are. And speaking of Meta, they've got an interesting change that they're implementing soon for businesses. And what it is they're piloting a business AI, which is not exactly new at this point. You've been able to basically create a large language model for your business for a while now and create chat bots and that kind of thing for your website and all that jazz. But within the Meta messaging tool set, like the suite, a business AI to respond to people for you, to answer questions that maybe, frequently asked questions that you give it that sort of information, for it to just scrape your profile and give information by itself, that kind of thing. It sounds like it might be quite good, but it also seems like it could be bad in terms of what it says. Like, it could say anything. I mean, are you going to have that as your representative for your business? That's kind of a hard sell for me. But you're supposed to be able to train it. So currently the process is really just what is your welcome message, and if you want any other sort of messages to follow when someone submits a message to you. So it is dumb for sure right now. But will this smart variant help out, or is it going to hinder anybody, or is it going to lie and make up, is it going to hallucinate? Who knows?
I mean, that's the same problem you have with me, though.
You're going to hallucinate.
I just sort of start hallucinating.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah, I'm curious to see what happens, but it's a move. My last little discussion here is a big Google search kind of discussion, because 2 surveys came out that kind of contradict each other, but also lead me to the question of, like, what is search right now?
What is search?
And
because search is dead, as we've been told.
Yeah, but like,
long live search.
Like, what does
search
that mean,
is
man?
dead.
What is that?
Long live search.
So in one study, 42% of people said that search engines are becoming less useful, and 76% of people are saying they're just seeing too many sponsored results, and that has led them to go other places. Most Gen Z and millennials seem to prefer like chatbots and AI kind of things and alternative platforms for that. But another study said that Google search grew quite a bit in 2024, about 20%, where reached over 14 billion searches per day, and ChatGPT specifically only handled 37.5 million. So billion versus million there. But those were search-like queries, which is kind of important because ChatGPT, if you're interacting, are you searching or are you asking follow-up questions? Does your search count as a search? That's kind of the weird question there. Because they also say that ChatGPT received 1 billion messages per day, but only 30% is the 30 million there. So are those other 70% searches in some manner?
Are they talking about messages or are they talking about prompts?
Yeah.
Because, right? And let's be real, a search maybe give you what you wanted right off the bat.
Yeah.
Whereas a prompt, because we haven't learned how to properly structure a prompt, you're asking it to refine data, right?
Yeah. I mean, if I'm going in there and I'm asking it how many cups is, this many tablespoons or something like that,
and it says banana. Then you have to go, no, I meant in volume.
Yeah.
Right?
Like there's multiple follow-ups and stuff, like what counts as a search. And
whereas Google has algorithms that say they probably are asking about volume.
Yeah. So it's a real weird thing, and I'm starting to not trust a lot of surveys because of it.
And I wouldn't, because, right, sometimes it takes me 5 or 6 different exchanges in my prompt in order to get the data that I want. Something that I was talking to somebody about, though, kind of like a pro tip, is, if you have to have more than 1 or 2 sort of follow-ups, and I've never thought to do this, once you acknowledge the answer is what you were looking for, ask the AI how you could have gotten there faster.
Oh, yeah.
And it'll say, a prompt like this will get you this information. Have the LLM teach you how to be a prompt engineer.
Yeah.
And I never thought about that. Like, once you get your data, you're like, well, I got there. Why don't you just go, hey, how could I have gotten here in 1 step?
It is definitely worth your time to just learn how to prompt in AI. I mean, I think we said that when it was starting in 2021, realistically.
Because you need to provide it with context.
And it is different per model. So, like, you should kind of know generalized thoughts, but then, like, you know, if you're using Claude versus Gemini or something, like, maybe see what the differences are before you do something complex or whatever. So,
yeah, you're using multi-dimensional, like, basically it's taking your prompt, tokenizing it, and basically converting it into a math problem.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Even just if it's a reasoning model or not is going to affect that quite a bit too. So, but yeah, some interesting stuff there. I would argue that Google's still dominant. People are probably still moving from Google. There's probably still a downward trend. I mean, just even going from Google to Bing is becoming more popular, funny enough. But also, yeah, doing their searches in AI is becoming more and more, you know, useful.
It's natural progression a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way things are.
But I also think that we have a lot more intrigue. AI is not here to steal our jobs yet.
Well, so what's interesting about the next one is that Google is beginning to test AI-only search results. So goodbye, blue links and search engine result pages. That's quite a crazy little change if that happens.
RIP SERP.
Yeah.
Just all acronyms.
I don't like that internet theory thing, but that certainly reinforces that. So I'm concerned to see what that like first screenshot of an AI-only results page looks like, man. But they're going to begin testing that shortly. There will be an AI mode you can, I guess, toggle potentially, at least to start. And then
don't like this because basically now Google is using your data that it's spent decades learning and writing you out of the equation.
Yeah. It will.
So the concept of, which is now, because now what we have to do is we now have to poison the LLMs to get your content to be valid.
Yeah, people are going to try to just skirt around it, and yes.
But the best way to do it is you need to prove that you are the thought. Like we always talk about authority.
Mm-hmm.
You now need to discredit Google, but figure out a way to get yourself to be a reference for them.
Yeah.
But make the data wrong. Yeah, it's gonna be weird. There's gonna be somebody who figures out how to do it, but
yeah,
this is gonna be bad, I think, for search. Womp womp.
Currently, it's only for Google One AI premium subscribers, but yeah, it is.
Well, that's not me.
Yeah, it's not me either. So, but
you know what? I'm not gonna add to it because that's a lot of really good stuff. I'm digging. I think we're starting to see some real maturity in the AI.
You're digging it, huh? You're digging it.
Told you, I got.
You're gonna start digging it a lot more soon.
Man, I'm telling you, like this whole show.
Oh, dig, nice. We'll go to mix.com.
Well, you know what? While Griffin is on Mix.com, I just want to take a moment and say thank you for listening to another episode of the Lighthouse IT Solutions Podcast. He, of course, has been Griff. I've been Matt. If you get the opportunity, check out the Lighthouse IT Solutions Hub, especially for your client. There's all kinds of great resources, training, and materials that are there for you. If you're not, there's still blog articles. This podcast, which you could also find at lighthousesol.com/podcast. Feel free to keep an eye on all of the socials and everything, the blog articles that Griff and his team puts out. Always a lot of exciting material there as well. And look, until next time, stay safe, and we'll catch you on the next IT Solutions Podcast. Peace.